I lived in Miami for almost a year, and while I was there, in the apartment building that I was living in Pembroke Pines, there were some Mexican guys doing some repairs on the roof. They saw me pass by walking my dog, and they say, "Beautiful, morena." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And they say, "Where are you from?" And I say, "Cuba." They say, "Cuba? We didn't know people in Cuba look like you." And I said, "Like me, like what? Black?" And he just stopped on his tracks and changed the subject. The majority of Latino people are very racist. I didn't know that I was living in a very racist country until I met my Jamaican husband, and he made me realize how racist people in Cuba were. And once your eyes are open to this, you cannot unsee it. There was a time in Jamaica when you could watch Spanish television. We had two TV stations, Univision and Telemundo. These TV stations, each of them had one black anchor. One had one female for the news, and the other one had a male, two black people. Both TV stations show a wide array of telenovelas, which is basically Spanish soap operas. And these telenovelas were made and produced in Latin America. Brazil, Colombia, Mexico are one of the biggest places where soap operas are made. Now you tell me now how a Colombian telenovela of 350 episodes don't have one black person in it. If you see a black actor on a telenovela, is actually playing a slave or a character that they are trying to bring back to life, like Celia Cruz. So these have just added to that white supremacy and had made people from other places believe that black people doesn't exist in Latin America any at all. So if as a Jamaican you travel to Miami and you suffer what he did, don't be surprised. I'm sorry this happens to you, but it's a sad truth. Hopefully it change soon. This will change soon in the future. Thanks for watching. Mucha love.
I'm Latina,
I'm black.
obviously, but this is what this is what we've learned from being together for almost 18 years. I've learned from his black family that you just have to have thick skin. Like if you don't have thick skin and yeah, you're gonna get made fun of. Like no matter what, no matter you're just gonna get made fun of. So grow that thick skin if you don't have it already.
With her family, you gotta have a thick belly. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to eat, bro. If you try to get one plate and be done, like that's not gonna happen. I don't care if it's the ti, if it's the suegra, it don't matter who it is, bro. Like you gotta be able to eat because they don't keep feeding you until you.
And
bust.
not only that, they're also gonna give you like a plate to go.
And yes,
it's rude. You have to take
food.
it. Yeah.
Eat everything.
The next thing I have is you have to be on beat. Like you can't just clap off beat around his family because you will get called out so fast. Have to be on beat. You have to have rhythm.
You be off beat and you throw the whole thing.
And everyone's quick to tell me if I'm off beat. And usually I feel like I'm on beat, but it's like I learned quickly, like do not be off beat around their family.
You can't be off beat.
No.
Yeah, that's game over right there. Yeah. Man, weddings, they gonna start super late, bro. Like they're not. You know, or everybody's gonna be late. Like it's gonna start. You know what I'm saying? The Mexican wedding, it's gonna start. Everybody gonna be late because don't nobody care about that ceremony part. Everybody want to get to the reception, but then the reception gonna start late. Mm-hmm. But then it's also gonna end late. So the band don't show up till 11:45 to 12:15, and they play till 4. So you gotta be prepared for that.
Like you go all the way till breakfast.
Yeah.
Speaking of weddings, okay, so like with weddings in your family, they wear like the color of the wedding. Like they coordinate and they're like, what colors are your wedding? And if you say blue, then everybody wears blue. I've never like heard of that, but they're like, do you have your blue dress? And I'm like, what? Why would I be wearing what the bridesmaids are wearing? Like it doesn't make sense to me, but like his family is constantly asking what the color is. And I'm like, who cares what the color is? Like,
always got a theme.
I want to wear a cute wedding outfit. Like I don't want to wear the color of the wedding. But it's always a question in the group chat about that.
That's good. I already kind of talked about, but like tortillas, man. You know, like we eat, there's tortillas for breakfast, lunch, dinner.
They go with everything.
And salsa. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a bad thing. It's something I wasn't used to. You know what I'm saying? Until we got together, and so you know, I keep tortillas on deck. You know what I'm saying? You never know who's gonna come through. You know what I'm saying? We go back from the club, whatever. You know, her father-in-law flipping tortillas. at 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. You know what I'm saying? That's happened here in this house.
Tortillas and salsa. You need it at every meal.
So yeah.
Just a few things we've learned in this
just a few,
Mexican relationship.
You know what I'm saying? It's just some minor things.
Yeah. I can think of more. We can do a part 2.
Hey, what's up, brothers and sisters? What are we doing today? Now, there's an important topic that we need to address, and it's been a while, but there have been increasing tension of people complaining about racism, especially in the Hispanic community, the Latino community, right? The fact that there is so much ties between black people and Latino people because they're classified as colored people. However, there's still some microaggression from things like colorism, which stems from historical behaviors that Latinos have adopted. And this means that it's a reflective of what in their mind the seed of hate towards black people. And I'm not saying like it's all Latinos who are doing this, but this is something that black people are really complaining about, and they're really coming out and talking about this. And even Latino themselves, they call each other for what they've always been doing to black people. And the question of racism in the Hispanic community, this is a topic that people have always been talking about. Me talking about racism from the Hispanic community towards black people, I'm not saying to shatter their name down, but what I'm trying to do is like, we are trying to show each other that we don't need to hate each other, right? And it's not like blacks and Latinos are competing towards something. These people are, some of these people, not all these people, but some of these people are suffering from what is called the white supremacy, right? They love their masters more than the people that they could work together with to dismantle these systems, to dismantle this virus that has been put in their mind, right? Because you can be in a family, or you can be in a place where people are so much anti-black, you can think that they were baptized, or they were, I mean, there was just something sacred that was done to them to make them hate black people, right? Because black people coming out and sharing their experiences in regards to how they feel, how they are treated, really makes you think, what's really wrong with these people, right? And they don't even want like people to have kids with black people, especially these parents, Latino parents who have seen black people. So I don't want to say much. These are people who are sharing their sentiments because it's getting out of hand. These are people who are sharing their sentiments in regards to this. I want us to watch these videos. I'll be back and we'll talk about it. If you're watching this video for the first time, most definitely I'll ask you to subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to see what we can offer you. You can check out our Cash App account. If you want to buy me some coffee, I'll most definitely appreciate. Until then, let's dive right into the video. I'll be back.
Black people in Mexico were not even acknowledged until recent years. Their presence was not acknowledged by the government up until very recent years. But yet, they have been there since days of slavery. You understand? So, since the days of slavery, a lot of the slaves in North America, in the United States, a lot of the slaves ran to Mexico to hide. And a lot of them have been living there. And not only that, but a lot of these Spaniards, they brought some slaves to Mexico too. So black people have been in Mexico for hundreds of years, but Mexican government has not acknowledged their presence until very recent years. And that is why I made a video and called it Afro-Mexican, because these people have been there for many years with their own communities, speaking Spanish, of course, but they acknowledge their African ancestry. They acknowledge it. That's why they self-identify as Afro-Mexican, because they're acknowledging their African roots. And the government has not bothered with them. When you watch telenovelas, Spanish telenovelas, have you ever seen a black man? No, never. But yet, black people have been there since the Europeans have been there for hundreds of years.
Racism and denial in Spain.
Escriban diciendo que yo como estoy morena, Baltasar era negro, que lo que estoy haciendo es una palabra nueva que no sabía en mi vida. Blackface. Blackface, que estoy haciendo racismo. Por Dios, ni soy racista, ni este programa, no tenemos un colaborador negro. Eso es el único problema.
Bueno, yo estoy negra.
Tú estás negra.
Además que,
por favor,
además
de
que
verdad.
una cosa, no,
de
momento.
Hemos puesto un tono normalito.
No vendría
Yo suelo
muy bien,
estar así en verano.
Claro, que ya
de
cogido el
verdad,
sol en el
pero
desierto.
esto no es racismo. Baltasar es negro. Los niños, yo soy una embajadora.
Yo no lo he dicho.
Por favor.
Cognitive dissonance, denial or pure ignorance? What do you think?
It is no secret that Hollywood has a very racist past and sometimes still a racist present. However, do you know about Rita Hayworth, the Hispanic woman who was convinced to get surgeries just so she could look white so she could become successful? Rita Hayworth was born Margarita Carmen Casino in New York City. So when Margarita started her acting career, she could only book roles for exotic women, women of color. And back in the day, those were very limited, which meant you would probably have no success. After a few years of playing exotic women in films, Margarita was able to sign a contract with Columbia Pictures. Harry Cohen, the co-founder and president of Columbia Pictures, decided that in order for her to become successful, she had to get surgery to look like a white woman. So, with a desire and ambition to become a successful actress, Rita did just that. She went through painful electrolysis to change her hairline, which was considered too ethnic. She dyed her naturally black hair to a ginger shade. And the list of procedures goes on, but one of the biggest ones was her name. Columbia Pictures did not want her to be called Margarita, because that was way too Spanish. Her new name was Rita Hayworth, which sounded very American and white. For the rest of her career, Rita Hayworth played white women. She no longer had to settle for the role of an exotic woman. And as terrible as it sounds that she had to change her whole ethnic look to become successful, it worked, and she became one of the most successful actors of that time.
A diferença toda é que chama muita atenção.
Olha, eu vou falar uma coisa do tempo da minha avó, que já dizia para minha mãe, olha, é bom ter que achar um branco para se casar, e é para melhorar a raça. E isso continua até hoje.
There's a painting called the Rejeição de Khan. And the painting portrays the actual story of Brazil. So you have the picture of the dark black-skinned grandmother. She has her hands in the air. Next to her, seated, is her mulatta daughter. She obviously had a relationship with a white man, so her daughter is progressively lighter skinned. Next to the mulatta daughter is the Portuguese immigrant. He's white. And in the mulatta daughter's arms is the white son. So after 2 to 3 generations, the blackness of the family has completely disappeared. And so the black grandmother is giving thanks to God, like, thank you for moving this black stain from my family.
Porque a minha família, eu falei, daqui uns anos, não vai ter mais ninguém negro.
It is normal to call a black person negro, literally. We don't have the...
How do you know if a Spanish-speaking person is calling you the N-word? Let's start by stating the fact that, yes, there is an N-word in Spanish. The word is negrata and it's only used in Europe. It's used in Spain. In Latin America, we do not have this word. We do not use this word. However, we can still very much be called the N-word. So how do Spanish-speaking people call us the N-word in Spanish? By using black not as an adjective, but as a noun. And I feel like that's what he meant by, we know by the tone. They are not using negro to describe us. They're using negro to tell us what we are. You know, put us in our place or something. Let me give you an example. If in Spanish you say the sentence, así hay muchos latinos negros, that means, yeah, there are a lot of black Latinos. You're using it as an adjective. You're using it to describe people. Or if you say Barack Obama is negro, you're saying Barack Obama is black. On the other hand, you can use black, and this is done by racist people here, you can use it as a noun. Barack Obama es un negro. Ugh, the ick. That it means, well, Barack Obama is a black? I feel like you guys do have this expression, and it is kind of offensive in American English to say a black. Trust me, it is much worse in Spanish. In Spanish, it does sound like the N-word. But there's another way that they do it, which is that they accompany the word negro with an actual adjective. So you know that negro is what you are, that is your name, that's a noun, and the adjective is an additional. They don't have to do it with a particularly negative adjective, but they usually do. So they usually say, negro orgulloso, negro ladrón, negro hijo de puta, negro perezoso, negro esto, negro lo otro. Like you are, you black this, black that, black that, black that. Another way they use it is that they unnecessarily tell you someone's race and switch it with their profession. Like, you could be using their name or their profession, but they actively choose to call them a black. They don't say something like, oh yeah, that woman's annoying. They say, esa negra es insoportable. Like, that N-word is annoying. Oof, when they use esa or ese negro, like, like, that's, the tone is there. But yeah, rule of thumb in general, if you are being called the N-word in Spanish, they're using it not as an adjective, not as a way to describe you, to identify you. It is not necessary to specify your race, but they use it as a noun to tell you that's what you are and that's all you are. Another fun fact about racism in Latin America, that there are a lot of expressions referencing skin color that are normally used by people. Most people who use these do not consider themselves racist, even though they are. So they call black people cardboard colored people, poop colored people, poverty colored people. I am not making this up. They actually do that. And they don't think they're being racist. They think it's playful. So yeah, the more you know.
Soon as you turn on the television in Mexico, you will see a telenovela with people that look a lot like me.
But that's the problem, isn't it? Whether we identify as white presenting, white passing, or even just a white Latina, we benefit from the colorism that is so prevalent in our community. And no hate to this creator herself, because I love the way she advocates for the Latino community and using that privilege to do so. But that's what we need more of. As a Chicana, I can tell you firsthand how frustrating it feels when somebody says, well, you don't look Latina. Or, if you are Latina, then prove it, speak Spanish. Or, you're one of those whitewashed Latinas, aren't you? Tell that to my immigrant mom who raised me, you know? Stuff like that is so invalidating. But at the end of the day, we need to recognize who is most deeply harmed by the colorism that we benefit from. And that is Black and Indigenous Latinos. I say this all not to point blame at this creator or anybody else who uses the caveat of media in Latino America and Mexico specifically, but this is to point out the responsibility we have to use the colorism we benefit from to uplift our more marginalized Latino brothers and sisters. And by uplifting, I do not mean speaking over, I mean amplifying, encouraging, supporting, and creating safe spaces where darker-skinned and Black Latinos can feel comfortable being in spaces that can start on TikTok, that can start in conversations about politics in Latino America, and it can go as far as anywhere and everywhere you want to take it. And we must do this all while not upholding a white savior complex, but actively trying to dismantle the colorism that takes place in our communities. Amor y paz, mi gente.
So I was just cooking pollo de tinga and I got really sad because my Mexican grandma died a few years ago and I never got to learn her culture. I learned certain things and I'm grateful for that. However, racism is the reason why I didn't get to learn more, and the reason why my mom didn't learn Spanish, and the reason I didn't learn Spanish. So my grandma dealt with racism practically her whole life, and she would not admit to that because she was super prideful. But she didn't know English until maybe the 4th or 5th grade, and she got bullied for it. Because, you know, Spanish was her first language, and she wasn't familiar with it. However, she grew up in a very predominantly white area, and so did my mom and her siblings, and she never taught them Spanish because I think it was a defense mechanism. She was like, no, if they don't know Spanish, then it's okay, you know, they'll grow up white, and they won't have to deal with the struggles that I had to deal with. And that makes me very, very sad because not only did my mom get affected by that, I got affected by that. And now I was her caregiver for probably like 2 to 3 years. And I learned Spanish from her. She had Alzheimer's and she only spoke Spanish because she resorted back to practically her younger self and her understandings, and that was only Spanish. So I had to learn Spanish pretty quickly, and we would listen to Bad Bunny and she would just talk to me, and I really enjoyed those times. But it made me very sad because I missed out on a whole culture because of racism, because people looked at her and said, you're not white, you're brown, and she felt like she needed to be white to fit in. And not only that, she had very white children, blonde, blue-eyed, and they said to her, oh, are you the nanny? Like, who says that? Like, it just disgusts me. However, that's what she had to deal with. So her whole life, she repressed her culture. But I wouldn't say that fully because we did have flan for my birthday, and we did have enchiladas all the time, and we had Mexican cooking. However, cooking traditional dishes like I am tonight, I really just am sad because I wish she was around and I wish she would have taught me her culture because I truly love the culture. I know I'll raise my children in it, and I know that I'll be constantly cooking these traditional meals and having traditions in my family. But it just makes me sad because I wish that she could see me right now doing all of this and learning Spanish and going to Mexico and just embracing my culture. It just makes me sad. Fuck racism.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the channel. I don't know any black person like who have experienced this situation, but what I know is that it is not cool for people, especially bearing the fact that history has shown it that black people have stood with this group of people like Latinos. Look at the civil rights movements, look at the affirmative action, and even fighting for them like brothers and sisters to achieve certain things that white people that white America didn't even want to give them, right? And when black people go to these places, this is the treatment that they are being repaid with, right? And I don't understand why this is so much ingrained in their culture, such that they hate black people, from kids, from middle-aged people, from older people. They hate black people. It is like they are indoctrinated to do this, right? So me talking about this video, me reacting about this video makes me have a point, is that why is it that these people hate black people so much? Why is there's so much hate towards black people? It's like they were being paid to do this, right? I came to understand the role of the systems in Latin America. I've always tried to bury the black population. They don't want it. They don't want people to populate. They don't want people to give birth. They don't want these interracial marriages between Latinos and between Hispanics and black people. They don't want it. And even a group of Latino people and black people who have married, there is usually tensions, right? And even the parent themselves will ask their kids not to have a black man or not to have a black woman because they'll bring a black baby, which sometimes they see it as a bad luck. You can imagine how these people are really so ingrained to put this hate even to innocent people like children. They don't want you to have black kids because to them that looks like something like some sort of bad luck. They relate a black child, or they relate something black with a bad luck or something like taboo or a man or bad omen, right? So to them their culture has been whitewashed to the extent that they think that something which is brown or light is something which is attractive, something which is beautiful. And even if you look at the, when you look at the entertainment sector of Latino people, mostly the faces that you'll rarely see Afro-Latino or Afro-Hispanics. You will rarely see, unless there is somebody who is trying to advertise something that shares, diversity. But for all I know is that these people are so much ingrained in their culture, of which is anti-black, which is so racist, to the extent that they don't even want you to relate with something black. And I've heard stories of people from the Latino community. They don't want their kids to walk in sun. Why? Because when their kids walk in sun, they'll turn black, right? And even the parents could buy the kids some sunburn so that they don't get black, which means that they are trying to relate being black with something which is unattractive. They are trying to relate being black as somebody or something which is an outcast, something which it's not allowed in that society. So this also shows you these people have grown in a system that perpetuates a whitewashed society, and they keep on passing it down from generation to generation. So when you're growing and you tend to be like something you tend to look like a little bit different, now it becomes a problem because you look like somebody who is like an outcast. Maybe your parent did something wrong, that's why you look the way you look. Maybe your parent did something wrong, that's why you're a black person. Maybe your parent went ahead and had a relationship with a black person, which to them it's not attractive. having a black person is not attractive to some of these people because their culture, and I'll say again, their culture is ingrained in a whitewashed society where something which is not brown, something which is not white, it is not attractive to them. And so it pains me looking at our brothers and sisters, people who look like me, who fought and are still fighting, even for you people, especially Latinos in the United States. And when they come back to your places, that's how you repay them, right? That really ain't fair, just to speak about it. So me watching all this happening really makes me question, is this how you repay black people? Because for all I know, and it's not like black people are asking for unity with you, but that's, I mean, somehow, somewhat, that's something that should be happening, because all of you are fighting against this system and we are fighting against the whitewashed society. So how will we fight together when one of you is joining hands and is believing the oppressor as, or viewing the oppressor as somebody who is more attractive to a person who you share sentiments with? This is a person who you can stand together with because you share the same struggles. Where black people are kept is where Latinos are kept, especially in the United States. White people don't give a damn about you, right? If you know white, you know white. You're Latino, you're Latino. You know white, you know white. You're a black person, right? That's what I'm talking about. So in as much as you're viewing yourself as more of a special person, or you're viewing yourself as more of a person who is of higher standard, because I know still there is a caste system, which is also in the Latino or the Hispanic community, right? So the black people are down the caste, and white people, the more white you look is more, I mean, is more valuable or more up the caste you are, because I know the caste system is in the Latino community. So in as much as you're still ingrained in the traditional ways of thinking when it comes to colorism and racism, you need to know that it is black people who fought for you. You still have civil rights movements, especially Latinos in the United States, immigrants who keep on coming to those places, right? So it is not fair how these people are trying to repay black people, and even black people across the world. I'm not even talking about not really only black people in the United States, right? Because black people are everywhere. You can literally find them everywhere. So while I'm talking about this, I'm trying to address a group of people who are outside the United States, but majority or majorly the people who have fought, the people who have stood with you, mostly are people inside the United States. And when they leave these places, when you come to these places like the United States, you start talking negatively about them. Like you start talking, how will you take their jobs? You start saying how lazy they are. You start describing the type of life that they live, right? Yet when the white person comes, they see you just the same as they see black people. And now when a problem comes, you'll be running back to black people. Oh, we need your support. We need us to stand together because, you know, oh, our education has been revoked. We need your voice as black people. Now, when we say that, let's stop hating. Let's give black people their flowers, because black people for the longest time have stood. I'm not even talking about the black American culture that people are always telling, including some of you Latinos, right? So when I talked about this video, I was talking at a point where we are enjoying the privileges of, you know, associating with certain people, but we don't want to identify with them. We don't want to associate with them because we feel like they're low, but benefits that comes with them we enjoy. And that's the definition of Latinos. That's what they're trying to do, right? So when we talk about this, we need to think like deeply, what are we doing to ourselves as black people? Because I believe that we now need to water our cups. We as black people, we've been trying to water the cups of these people, but they ain't listening, right? It is time for us to stand together as a community by ourselves, rather than just always trying to focus on building and keeping other community together, rather than just focusing on ourselves, because these people don't give a damn about us. So when all this happens, you see black people complaining, and some few good Latinos also calling each other out. I won't fail to talk about that, right? So when this happens, all I'm saying is that we need to find the best possible way to make this work for us as Black people, because it is becoming unbearable. It is becoming so nasty that we need to just have a meeting and talk about this, because the rate at which people are complaining is so alarming. This is a presenter G-Talk Stories. As you know, I'm hoping to see you in my next video. If you're watching this video for the first time, I'll most definitely ask you to subscribe to the channel, join our membership, really get to see what we can offer you. But until then, you know how we do it. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.